The Senegalese President Diomaye Faye, has dismissed any hint of fade or rift with Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, now whose recent statement fueled speculation about a possible conflict between these two leaders. Now, we're going to give you in a second a background on this and also what led to this speculation, or what kind of ignited it for this kind of speculation on media to resurface again, because this is not the first time talking about rift between these two leaders. When I say two leaders, one is a President Diomaye Faye, and Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, both belong to the African Patriots of Senegal for Work, Ethics and Fraternity, in its acronym known as the PASTEF political party. Okay, now this came after Ousmane Sonko, the prime minister, has called for a media over the weekend after President Diomaye Faye has left for that meeting. Actually, it was in the last week, where Diomaye Faye has left for a meeting to the United States meeting, the US Africa Summit that was called by President Donald Trump. Which included 5 African countries, and one of them was Senegal, amongst Liberia, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, and who did I miss? And Mauritania as well. Now, after that, also Diomaye Faye has left for another meeting to Benin. It was during this time Ousmane Sonko has briefed the media, basically, and then after his return, in that briefing, what Ousmane Sonko said is that he called for the government to end attacks against him, because there are attacks by media and other opposition parties and other institutions against the prime minister, calling him for the execution of the reforms, in which the prime minister said he is not able to do with his own power, because he said he called for the government that is led by Diomaye Faye to take responsibility and execute those reforms that has been promised before they came to power in 2024. Okay, it was after this, different media has which are actually said to be close to the PASTEF political party, are coming with the news that there is a high rift or a tension that is rising between these two. Now, what you have to know is this is not the first time. Now, the PASTEF took power from Macky Sall, the previous president of Senegal, in March 2024. Originally, the election was supposed to be held in December 2023, but the government has postponed it and removing the PASTEF political party from that election, and then that really has awakened the people, and the Senegalese were on the street, and people even have died. Then after that, Macky Sall has also thrown these leaders of the political party. Ousmane Sonko was the president, so he was a supposed president actually of this political party, but then he was thrown to political parties. And when Macky Sall, demanded by the people, restored back again PASTEF to be in the election, then Ousmane Sonko, being in prison, handpicked himself, Diomaye Faye, to be the leader of the political party, and that's how he became the president of the country. Okay, and then eventually Ousmane Sonko was released, so he appointed him as a prime minister. So president of Senegal, Diomaye Faye, has dismissed this, and he said, basically, if I may quote from what he said, look, the prime minister said it, he is my friend, there is no conflict between us. The only worthwhile fight is the fight against the difficulties that the Senegalese people are enduring, that we ourselves are enduring as a government. That's what the president said, and calling for unity in the face of economic and social challenges. Now, I'm going to play this video. It's in French.
Non. Comme l'a dit le Premier ministre, c'est mon ami et je n'ai aucun conflit avec lui. Je souhaite continuer à m'appesantir sur ce que les Sénégalais attendent de nous, en mettant l'accent sur les solutions à apporter à leurs difficultés.
Bassirou Diomaye Faye se défend de tout conflit avec son Premier ministre Ousmane Sonko. Ce dernier avait suscité des remous lors d'un meeting de son parti, le PASTEF, à Dakar. Pour la première fois, il avait reproché au président sénégalais un soutien jugé insuffisant face aux attaques dont il se dit victime.
Je suis allé voir le président Diomaye Faye. Parce que ce qui se passe actuellement, il peut l'arrêter quand il veut. Pourquoi ne l'a-t-il pas fait? C'est une autre question. Je lui ai dit qu'il peut y mettre un terme parce qu'on ne m'aurait pas parlé ainsi si j'étais président.
Yeah, so it was actually after this, where you see Ousmane Sonko is now where he was briefing the media because there was a mass attack against him because the reforms that has been promised by their political party was not effective. Okay, so he was calling for the president to take responsibility and to approve those reforms so that they can execute it. Okay, now I'm going to give you a bit of a background on this on this too, because there's usually, I have to assume there might be someone there as a viewer who don't know about the background of this. So these two, their political party came to power in April, actually end of March 2024, and then Diomaye Faye was a hand-picked leader of the political party of PASTEF, hand-picked by Ousmane Sonko himself when he was in prison. Then PASTEF eventually, it was expected that they win the election, so they have won, and then Ousmane Sonko was released from prison, and he was appointed as prime minister. So now, when did the things start that people start to point their fingers at Diomaye Faye? Because if you see, Ousmane Sonko was a leader of the African Patriots of Senegal for Work, Ethics and Fraternity, PASTEF, and he was a revolutionary one. His speech before he was thrown to prison, it was that he actually called for the Alliance of the Sahel States, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and he said that you will not be left alone, that his interest that Senegal will join the IES, and he was a more revolutionary military kind of leader, and he was not from a military background, but he was revolutionary, definitely. So Diomaye Faye did not walk on that pace, and in fact he made it clear that on a national television that Senegal will not join the Alliance of the Sahel States and it will remain to be part of ECOWAS, and he was in fact appointed by ECOWAS to mediate, given his age proximity, to bring back the IES, to mediate between ECOWAS and IES, which did not happen, but he did visit Burkina Faso and Mali. But the thing is that, usually leaders, when presidents come, the first thing they give is a tour through the region. And in that tour, actually, he visited the Alliance of the Sahel States at very last, in which it seemed that actually he did it because of the pressure from the people or the high expectation from the Senegalese people. So also on national television, he said that in terms of cutting ties with previous colonial power and still continuing to in this neo-colonization with the French government. He said Senegal is not a rush to cut ties with France and neither with other countries in the West. We don't want to, he said something like, I might be paraphrasing, we don't want to regret after it happened. So we want to remain being a friend and an ally to the West. That's what he said, and this was not really sitting well amongst the Senegalese people and other Pan-African people who were expecting Senegal to join the Sahel states. Then we saw also Ousmane Sonko only much later visiting these two countries. In fact, he visited 2 times, and recently he was also in Burkina Faso when Burkina Faso inaugurated that monument for Thomas Sankara, the great Thomas Sankara, and he made a speech and gave an interview as well. So a number of times a rift between the two has been on media, and they come and they deny it when possibly maybe they were trying to make their way. Now it's worth to mention what were the areas that these reforms were promised by their political party. Now I'm gonna just read it through. Look, they have promised a reform through contract renegotiation with colonial powers. This is something that is started by the government also with fishing industries from the West, to rearrange the share for Senegal, to increase the share. Then also a monetary reform, meaning the party planning to replace the CFA franc, which is a currency given by the French government when they gave them to these 15 African countries in West Africa. So they left them that this is what you have to use, a currency CFA franc, and then keeping their more than half of their, actually 80% of their national reserve in French banks. And then a reform of Senegal 2050 plan, which is a plan focusing on economic growth, poverty reduction, modernization, this and that, and also a reform in social and political reforms. This includes inclusion of indigenous language, constitutional and political reforms, combating corruptions, and then other contexts. Also, PASTEF secured a large, this is another background for you, a large parliamentary majority, giving them the political leverage to implement these reforms, okay? And then the party also emphasizes diversifying political and economical partnerships. The reforms are seen as a way to reassert Senegal's sovereignty and ensure the benefits its resources are shared more broadly. Now, up until now, the French military, there is also US military, they did not leave, but they have, the government has expressed or have asked actually for the French military to leave the country. Well, this is where we are. Now, before I conclude this, I want to leave you with this question. I'm going to give you my own reflection, but also you should ponder in it and maybe come back to this on the comment section. First of all, you have to ask, do you think that this kind of argument between, within one government and an argument between two individuals within the same party should be displayed or should be for a media consumption? Well, you can answer, but also my own reflection on this will be, it shouldn't be. If it can be solved without involving the public, well and good, but it looks like that it's going to be, it has been a year and maybe a quarter, maybe, Ousmane Sonko has tried his best and he sees that there's no result. Perhaps he's frustrated and the pressure is high, and this is why maybe he's coming to the public and doing this press briefing. So we cannot just completely criticize him for doing this. Another question I want to ask you is that what should the Senegalese government prioritize? Because I have seen in the comment section of this kind of videos that, you know, they have to focus on prioritizing addressing the challenges that the Senegalese people are facing. But again, you know, these challenges could have been solved with that reform, and a reform in which the final key is in the hands of the president. So if that cannot be unlocked by the president Diomaye Faye, then Ousmane Sonko cannot do anything to address this problem. So this is why perhaps he's coming to making the, you know, really making Diomaye Faye accountable in front of the public. Another question that can help us to look at this in detail is that, you know, the people, of course, they demand effective governance. They do not want a rhetoric or a passive rhetoric that you come and talk, or we ask for the French military to leave the country. But while your first trip was actually to the West, was going to France twice a month, and having also Diomaye Faye tete-a-tete meeting, private meeting, really, that wasn't for any media consumption. The public don't know. A tete-a-tete meeting with the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, and people still wonder what went behind that scene, behind that closed door. So these are the things perhaps that led to all these things, but that's my reflection. You may comment, what do you think of this? I mean, is Ousmane Sonko wrong for, you know, calling for that press briefing and making Diomaye Faye accountable, you know, for his own responsibilities that he did not carry out? Let us know in the comment section. Thank you again for joining, and yeah, please, I'm sure this video have given you some kind of light on what's going on in Senegal. So if that is so, please subscribe, like, and share the video. So all right, then I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.